History. History always is, at best, like this story, a chiaroscuro. The 23 Club by Edward Flaherty. Episode 3. Spike Lounge. Zach de la Rocha aptly described the mood of these jobs when he wrote, "We don't need the key, we'll break in." Part 1. Emirates Golf Club. Chalmers had become accustomed to the Middle East proclivity to copy and paste Western sport and business cultural paradigms. Such was the Emirates Golf Club. That same morning, Chalmers was to meet at the Emirates Golf Club the person who had originally contacted him on Skype, Toons van der Walt. Toons van der Walt worked for the project development company Cultural Tourism Futures, CTF, and his title was Sponsor. His company held the money and political power behind every part of this $400 million empty quarter project. As sponsor, Toons van der Walt was the key operations person wielding the power and money. In the old days, the sponsor would have been called a project manager. But with today's obsession to use the most modern and popular management process jargon from the West, he was called sponsor. The sponsor would brief Chalmers regarding the essential details of the project's key players, the schedule, and the problems. Part 2. The Taxi. Dubai taxis were late-model Camrys, impeccably clean inside and out. Drivers in pressed trousers and pressed dress shirts with epaulettes and ties. The taxis were metered and regularly checked, all very neat, clean, and dependable. Chalmers would take a taxi to get to the Emirates Golf Club. At the Hotel Porte Cochere, the bellboy called a taxi from the waiting rank. Chalmers climbed in and requested, "Emirates Golf Club, please." The driver said, "Welcome," and they were off. Before long, they were driving along Sheikh Zayed Road. His driving was smooth and controlled. No tailgating, no nervous braking, no maniacal lane changing, no speeding. He asked, "You American?" Chalmers said, "Yeah. How'd you know?" He said, "Accent," and immediately continued, "You know Smokey and Bandit?" Chalmers thought, Smokey and the Bandit. Burt Reynolds, early 1980s. Before Chalmers could answer, the driver continued, "My handle, Paki Bandit 1. I am Pakistan. I save money this work to buy back home truck." Chalmers smiled, then chuckled, remembering Pakistan's long-favored status with the United States. He then, in his own type of pidgin English, asked, "In Pakistan driving school, is there a rule to beep horn every time you start driving, every time you change lanes?" Paki Bandit 1 said, "No, that is India. Pakistan learn driving like Smokey and Bandit." Chalmers chuckled softly about the inherent contradictions between safe driving techniques compared to those of Smokey and the Bandit. Then he lost track of the conversation. He had become hypnotized by the recently opened futuristic Dubai monorail, with trains riding high along the edges of Sheikh Zayed Road. They were sleek, blue, driverless, digital trains with a Japanese bullet train profile. They moved smoothly and effortlessly from one elevated, gleaming metallic space station pod in the sky to the next. Whether they would ever significantly reduce road congestion hardly made a difference, because now the monorail emanated that optimistic Dubai buzz for the future. Even post-2008, it was a sensual buzz. It was in the air. It was live, Chalmers could feel it. Most cosmopolitan people could feel it. Chalmers observed the "To Let" and "For Lease" signs on all the sleek new glass and steel buildings. Those signs did not noise cancel the buzz. Rather, they promised that the free market in this hustling trading port will be bargained to reality and continue its 21st century growth. Its buzz. Part 3. Entry Experience. As an American businessman, Chalmers was always early. He prided himself on that and used the time to learn his way around new places. The Emirates Golf Club was close by, right in the heart of New Dubai. Chalmers looked forward to this trip to the club. He planned to arrive early. Chalmers recognized the landscaped main entry to the Emirates Golf Club to be much like any high-end gated community golf course built in the last 15 years in places like southern Florida, southern California. It was nicely done, with its fancy gatehouse, uniformed security, then long and winding entry road. The winding road, with its successive vistas, intrigued him. It was an engaging rhythm, an engaging sequence of landscape experiences. Chalmers absorbed what he called a classic belly dance experience of landscape. Veils covering, then gracefully falling away for a brief glimpse, then covering again, so that he hankered for that view. It was a strong design, well executed. Broad spreading, coarse textured shade trees making dark tunnels over the entry road, while dense, large, coarse textured shrubs forbid the view along the sides. Then in the final bend of a curve, dark to light, all opening to bright, dazzling vistas over the sensuously rolling, gently manicured lawns, the fairways. Chalmers was teased and manipulated by this landscape design, of tension, then relief, then tension again. It was a real tease. When the taxi dropped him at the porte cochere, the last veils were removed, and the climax opened in front of him. He saw multi-trunk trees bundled together in a thick grove, making full bloom umbrellas of voluptuous reds, oranges, and yellows. These were Delanex regia and Peltiform peltatum, softly nestled on the shoulders of the porte cochere. Beneath this well-pruned, high-canopied overstory was a richly layered understory. From the edge of the pavement, Chalmers saw a gently rolling hummock of variously sized young Cycas revoluta. They took his eyes up to the base of a substantial mass of multi-stemmed Rapis excelsa, lady palms, which made up the visually impenetrable but gently undulating wall of this entry garden room. Thrusting strongly, demanding attention some in front and some behind the lady palms, were well-groomed clumps of clear-trunk Aceleraceae wrightii, stretching up 3 to 4 meters. All in all, this was an exciting planting that recognized shade and deciduous factors in an organic and healthy composition, and provided sexual metaphors of intrigue. Decorative focal point of this entry garden room was under the translucent porte cochere, water and flowers, the archetypal garden experience. Chalmers looked at a quietly burbling water fountain. Terracotta color, light sandblast finish, it was a self-contained modern derivation of the Alhambra's Court of the Lions fountain. Similar in size, a comfortable human scale. Between the stylized lions were stacked various sizes of matching terracotta color pots, maybe 60 to 70 pots in total. Protecting the feet of the lions, the smallest, lowest, most numerous pots were at the outside edges, filled with the gray foliage, yellow-flowered, clumping gazania regans. In the medium-sized pots, stepping up from the gazania, were every imaginable color of Gerbera Jamesonii cultivars, hue intensities like like explosions of fireworks, strong and loud. Lastly, between the lions, poking up taller than the fountain edge, were the great highlights of dried flowers from Protea caphra and Protea cynaroides. Displayed in tall vertical pots, these accent Protea, with stunning floral detail and incredibly large size, captured Chalmers' attention. Outstanding! A spectacular entry procession culminating with captivating variety, loud color, and refreshing water at the entry. Chalmers paused a moment and looked around to take it all in again. The water, the color, the healthy aura. Then he continued to the clubhouse door. He went inside. The air conditioning gave relief to the heat he had briefly forgotten. Part 4. The Varden Clubhouse. Chalmers was early, in particular because he thought he might look for the original club professional, Mr. Bankley Cuthbert, Esquire, a past member of the Royal and Ancient, who had come to help Sheikh Mohammed build this course in the late 80s, and stayed. In the underpopulated world of long-time Dubai landscape specialists, Mr. Cuthbert's reputation ran strongly before him. Chalmers had at least an hour to look around to perhaps find Mr. Cuthbert to talk about landscape. Chalmers walked the clubhouse. It was filled with medium to dark, oak to mahogany wood detailing, and well-stuffed, oxblood red leather furnishings that had to have come from England, but, to save 75% on the price, most likely were knocked off in either Vietnam or China. He confirmed the location of his scheduled meeting, the Spike Lounge. The Spike Lounge was on the lower level, and had a shaded terrace with excellent views overlooking the 10th tee and the 18th green. There was an English fry-up buffet, every kind of meat, every kind of pork, sausage, and bacon. The breakfast of the Raj, the breakfast against which every doctor warned. At the end of the buffet was a bar. The bar had 10 to 15 seats in front of a large picture window, providing an excellent view of the 18th green. It was a weekday. Less golfers, more businessmen making deals. Chalmers saw in silhouette against the 18th green, standing at the end of the bar, an older gentleman with a 1920s Harry Varden profile. Could that be? That profile looked somehow familiar. Then Chalmers recalled. As he had walked from the clubhouse entry, he had passed down 2 hallways. A hallway of champions, featuring large photos of every winner of the Dubai Desert Classic over the past 25 years, a veritable who's who of professional golf. Seve Ballesteros, Fred Couples, Colin Montgomery, Ernie Els, Tiger Woods. And a second hall of photos, commemorating the club professionals and the club captains over the years. Chalmers was now certain he was looking at the silhouette of Mr. Bankley Cuthbert, Esquire, the very man himself with whom he had hoped to speak. As in his hallway photo, he was dressed in a flannel shirt and tie, a lightweight V-neck sweater, plus 4 pleated knickers with nearly knee-high stockings, all in the most sedate of heather colors. Chalmers recalled details from the hallway bio that Mr. Cuthbert, Esquire, as the Emirates Golf Club's first golf pro, oversaw the first grassing in 1988. In the early 90s, he oversaw the expansion from 18 to 36 holes. According to his hallway bio, he had retired in 1996. He had, nevertheless, remained as the emeritus professional, known unofficially as the oldest member, and judging by his dress, certainly a man for landscape stories of unique detail and color, exactly what Chalmers was expecting. Just then, Chalmers' cell phone vibrated. He checked. It was a text from the sponsor, who was just reaching the clubhouse. The sponsor was early, too. Before Chalmers even finished reading the first text message, the sponsor had texted a second time. This time, he texted he was at the Spike Lounge buffet and did not like to wait. Part 5. Breakfast with Tunes. Before Chalmers finished reading the second text, his cell started ringing. Chalmers didn't pick up. Instead, he looked around and found Tunes van der Walt, the sponsor, not far away, next to the buffet. They shook hands. Tunes, in the midst of an aggressive and very firm handshake, said, "Chalmers, pleased to meet you. Glad you made it. Let's begin." The owner-developer company, Cultural Tourism Futures, was a well-funded and well-connected Abu Dhabi government quango. The representative, Tunes van der Walt, was a South African. He was 35, an impressive rugby union player in his youth, and an avid Springbok supporter now. Tunes was 5'10", and a thick, fit, robust 200 pounds. He was a focused professional, real estate development manager. He exhibited the tenacious qualities of white Dutch South Africans who had helped build the solid and admirable economic power of a country over the centuries. Tunes was always impeccably shaved, head and face, with the right amount of light suntan over all. He dressed as if he just came off the catwalk in Milan, conservative and elegantly tasteful. Appropriate sunglasses and no jewelry, Hermenegildo Zegna, all the way. But, like many other white South Africans, he was happy to be working outside the country and had no desire to return. Why? Because of the new black leadership in the country, which, in his opinion, had led to a severe cultural and economic degradation. In Tunes' case, it was disastrously exemplified 2 years ago. While Tunes was in Dubai, there was a racially motivated carjacking in Johannesburg, during which his wife and his very young and only child, a son, were ripped from their car and ruthlessly murdered in cold blood on a public street. He was a man whose impatience and worldly lust could only be the result of the shocking killing of his family, from which he had never fully recovered. From the buffet, they both took coffee and toast, then found a table with a view of the 18th green. The weather made inside the only option. It was 10 a.m. Outside temperature was 39 degrees centigrade and rising, and the humidity was 70%. Hot and oppressively humid, even in the shade. Normal Dubai weather. Looking at Tunes' business card, Chalmers asked him, "What is it exactly that sponsors, or more specifically, task force stream sponsors like you, do at CTF?" Tunes, with an impatient, dissonant tone, went on about how the latest trends in business management, social justice, environmental sustainability, etc. were all wrapped into a matrix system of job responsibility at CTF. He continued, "While there is no direct chain of command in this matrix system, I have the final project financial and schedule responsibility in front of the CEO and the executive board." Chalmers said, "Okay, I like the clarity of one point of authority and communication. That should work well. But the matrix system, it sounds a bit awkward, but I'm sure you won't let that hinder my work. Now, following from our Skype, let's get to specifics. Please tell me in particular what you expect from me and the appropriate details." Tunes, always with a grudging tone, responded, "What I expect? The best site finishes ever, on time and on budget. Any questions there?" "None at all. That's what I do. But give me some background, please." Tunes continued, "On the landscape, we have no one internally with the appropriate field experience. And our project management team, our consultant and our general contractor just can't seem to make it happen. They're not responsive, not effective, not efficient. We're not getting a 100% result, and we do not have time to change horses." He continued, "Look, this is CTF's first major build project. Our financial backers and our marketing, our branding people require it to be special. We expect Condé Nast to rank our empty quarter project, which we call Liwa Kasar, #1 in their 2011 world list of the best new resort destinations. And we are more than 3 months behind schedule with only 6 months till soft opening. We expect a major A-lister opening event, including all the leaders from all the Emirates. Since I am the sponsor, I want to say this clearly in words that you can understand. My ass is on the line, and your ass too will be on the line. My position is no fail. Toons got on a roll. He was pushing. He was hot, impatience on the boil. We have a lot of first-class people on this project, but maybe it's because we are so deep in the empty quarter. The project is only for 200 keys, but we have to bring power and water from over 100 kilometers to the site. We have to be ethically responsible and environmentally responsible, no matter what the logic. We are building a fixed destination in a place where for centuries the few people ever passing through were nomads. The challenges are many. We need that place first class in 6 months. I want to know, are you on board or not? Toons hadn't touched his toast. His coffee was gone, and he was on his 3rd cigarette. His BlackBerry was buzzing every 3 minutes, and he just could not put it down. Chalmers said, "Look, you're paying me fairly. I'll dig into it this week and meet you for an end-of-the-day update this Thursday. I'll brief you on what I've found, and I'll outline an action plan to get CTF its finish and award quality on schedule. But Toons, you've got to know that I will need you to clear things for me. Cut the red tape. Give me line-level vetoes on invoices and no downtown meetings. Do you follow?" "Chalmers, I'll do what is needed, but it's you who must not fail." Chalmers got the message. "That's clear enough. Just give me the contact details of the responsibles, and Thursday I'll show you how it will be accomplished." Toons concluded their meeting. "Excellent. Let's get this rolling. We'll meet at the one and only library, Thursday then, say 9 p.m.? They agreed. Toons texted Chalmers the contact details for the on-site CTF hospitality director, the general contractor, the project management team, the landscape consultant, the landscape contractor, and all other applicable subcontractors. Toons then excused himself and left. Chalmers remained and began to set up his meetings. Tonight he would begin with the landscape consultant.